Says viewers waiting, edit it. Now I pressed the go live button. Are we rocking and rolling now? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is it streaming?
Yeah, now the ads have started. Here we are. Now it's just right on us. There we go.
Hallelujah. Okay, jeez. That was painful. You know, there must have been some kind of OBS update or something. It might have been also because we created 2 of them and I had to postpone the time schedule. I don't know. Whatevs, dude. Anyway, the point is this. We're going to have to do this all over again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Midnight Mormons. We thought we were streaming there for a couple minutes, but now we're not. Don't want to... spoiler alert. Bridger, actually, you have to reissue your challenge now. Just reissue your challenge so everybody can see, my man.
Yeah, so I'm down to fight Kwaku in a boxing match.
You got...
Yeah.
Kwaku is the most challenged non-boxer known to man. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Night Mormons channel. I'm your host, Cardinellis, and this is Kwaku L, and that is Brad Whitbeck, and that's Bridger Coburn right there. And we talk anything and everything about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We were going to have a fun, Ask Me Anything. Actually, not we. I shouldn't say we. Kwaku was going to do it and come up with a bunch of questions from the Ex-mormon subreddit today, but he got censored. So we said, hey, we're just going to come. I guess you can't just have a conversation like everybody wants to. And we're going to have to come back on familiar turf and just live stream with our besties, being you guys, of course. So we're here, and we're going to talk about what we did this week. And apparently we're also going to be having the rest of our Indian food while we
if you hear coughing, it's because I'm very sick.
Yeah.
And Bridger, to take you up on that, unfortunately, we have our old boxing buddy, Jacob Hansen's brother. What's his name? Like Elijah or Gunter? What is it?
It is something. Yeah, no, it is something Woodsman.
He has one of those names.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but
Flannel. He's got like a silly name, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like we did challenge him, and that was going to be super fun. But
something like Woods.
Yeah, so it was
Wilford.
It was something Woodsman-y. I don't remember. But it was weird. Like the vibe got
Bosque.
strange. First off, unfortunately, we called like the Fight Commission and the apparently whatever the governing body is in Utah or the Fed. I don't know who it is. But Kwaku found out that active military are not allowed to fight. And as he stated before, you know what I'm saying, works for the Navy, he's active military. So he can't get in there and practice the sweet science on any kind of official basis.
And it was weird because it's like, bro, how'd you not know this?
Like
well, we challenge.
Well, it's kind of an obscure rule.
Yeah, I can see
No, but
know.
I mean, okay, you're joining the military. They're telling you a lot about what you can and can't do. We challenge someone else who goes, "I'll do it." Actually, you won't because you would get disciplined.
I don't think that's his fault. I will say though, the vibe got really weird because he made that one video where he's like, "Talk this, get hit," and it's like, bro, we're literally joking about sumo suits and sock and boppers, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but would Bridger and I fighting be fun to watch? Because we're on the same team. I feel like it's the Mormon.
We need to find a
Ex-mormon.
beef you guys have. What do you disagree on vehemently? That's what we should start with.
I
now.
love Calvin Burke.
oh
Sorry.
yeah, did you get woke to the Calvin Burke question? I think I saw you ask.
Is that apocryphal? That I heard that you were kind of pro Calvin until you learned that all the stories were kind of.
I mean,
went after Kwaku.
I didn't have an opinion on him until I found some validity to some of the stories behind. Now I don't care for him.
And it's hard to believe the stories about him because they are so crazy. You're like, there's no way. You go, well.
Wait, but no, he did something to you that was insane, bro.
Many
things.
things.
Taken into the.
Yeah.
Can you share, bro? Come on.
Well, I've talked about it before. He falsified police documents. He got a bunch of people to report me to Title IX under the guise of being being a sexual predator, which is a perfect term because it doesn't actually say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then I had to go get all my ex-girlfriends to come in and testify at Title IX that it wasn't it was really crazy. And then because then I had a Title IX file, he parades around online with Julia and Evan Jones. And they're like, Kwaku's got a Title IX file, everyone. That means XYZ is true, like crazy stuff. So he spent a year trying to convince everyone I was some sexual deviant.
Dude, think of all the things that we have been accused of in the past 12 months. RFM said that I run a secret like underground against anti-Mormons YouTube channel.
That's
Remember-
been around for like
The,
9 years.
and uses like that like Asian AI bot that like the dudes that make the Filipino plot twist content online use. We've been accused of taking down John DeLynne's TikTok account as we receive threats of violence that are real and we have recordings of and are saved for actual police evidence. He's accused us of making online threats with Quentin Tarantino memes. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea.
Oh, speaking of,
And yeah, we can go over that because Bill Real reached out.
I just sent you the stuff.
Well, okay, we can.
I sent you the receipts. But also, I think my favorite is my accusation that I'm a Ex-mo sleeper agent. That one's cool.
Yeah,
I like
Expo
that one.
Sleeper Agent. No, but there's good ones. Oh, Mike Norton said that Kwaku is secretly gay and has accepted certain types of amorous activity that are unorthodox.
Yeah, he
in
like
nature.
he was claimed that he knows someone I was sleeping with.
I
Something like that.
don't know if that was the exact word, sleeping.
No, it was more vulgar, but we're on a live stream.
Yeah, we're on a live stream. And what else is there? There's so much. Oh yeah,
my name's actually Gary.
yeah, your name's actually Gary.
But also, what was the Schmidt one?
And then,
no, the epitaphs. Remember they said that we were the secret Desnats putting epitaphs in their chat just so that we could use our real names afterwards. Like
epithets.
epithets. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Epitaphs. Yeah.
I was like, we're writing like small, short obituary.
Autographs. I meant to say autographs.
yeah.
But no, think about this. So if these people can't speak truth in 2023, in the past 12 months, of the most insane and fanciful accusations against us that are just bold-faced lies, how can we believe what they said happened in 1847? How can we believe what they said happened in 1970?
They strike me as completely unmotivated in their reaning.
Yeah. So anyway, dude, we
could
got
they
Bridger
possibly-
on. Bridger, you can only be here for a while. Tell us your story. What's going on? I don't think we've done anything with you yet. Our audience doesn't know you. Well, I mean, I'm sure they know you. What's going on? What's your story, man? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok. I just respond to criticism of the church, although I've been taking a break over the last month because it got pretty crazy with some of the hate I was getting as a pro-LDS TikToker, just some stalking, harassment, people it was nuts for a little bit.
For
So
health
I've taken
reasons,
I've taken. I mean, I'm fine. I just people
Wait, what were they
reporting
doing, bro? Did you have to show up with a bulletproof vest to a debate?
No, I didn't have to show up. I didn't do any
borrow
debates,
mine if you
so.
want.
Yeah, we can.
You know,
we can hook you up.
Well, we can hook you up, dude.
Yeah, there was just 5 or 6 creators who were just going above and beyond to spread lies about me, my family. Stalking my family members' accounts and
Really?
Yeah, it was nuts for a little bit, but I'm letting it cool over, and then people report hundreds of reports of my videos just talking about the Kinderhook plates, and somehow that's hate speech,
What? Hate speech
yeah.
for you to say, well, actually, the history probably means this.
Yeah.
Sounds a whole lot like hate speech to me.
Dude, Jonah Barnes is hilarious. He says, "Blessed are ye who are online libeled for my name's sake."
Oh, nice. See, this is why it's good to have an open canon.
Well, and this is why I believe the Bible to be the word of God as long as it's translated correctly. And it seems like Jonah Barnes is working on a online translation of the original Koine Greek meant for the Twitterverse. Blessed are ye who are deplatformed or censored for my name's sake. Oh, speaking of censorship, Kwaku, we dropped that video earlier. I forgot. We did the 49-minute video. Have you seen it yet, Bridger?
I have not. I've not watched it yet.
Oh, tell them what happened, Kwaku.
Yeah. So yesterday, I made a Reddit account. Or I made a Reddit account I kind of want to do this AMA for a while. I think a couple weeks ago I made the Reddit account, but I haven't touched it. So I finally posted. First post ever on Reddit. Hi, I'm Kwaku. Ask me anything on Ex-mormon Reddit. And actually, I'll pull it up here because may as well read from the real thing.
Yeah, hit it up, dude. P.S. If any of you guys actually have questions, who knows? Maybe we'll do a little bit of the AMA here. If you got questions for Kwaku, or I guess most of us, if you're a member, just boom, send them on there. I see your little thing highlighted here. Or if you got any burning questions, you can send us a super chat. If you just want to help out the channel, you can send us a super chat. Whatever you want.
Here it is.
Hit it.
Kwaku here. Ask me anything. Subcaption: seriously, this is actually Kwaku. It hasn't been anything. I just got downvoted like crazy. Everything I said. And you might be asking, now, Kwaku, did you get downvoted because you were being mean? No. Super normal replies. They just hated the idea of interacting. So they're always saying stuff like, oh, people, you guys want to have a conversation. It's all one-sided. I go into their turf, into the lion's den. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
I even got downvoted because a guy asked me what kind of meatballs I like with spaghetti meatballs, and I said, bison. Bison meatballs are great. It got downvoted.
That's cultural appropriation.
Which makes me think, I don't think there's like an ex-mormon hatred of bison. So I'm assuming it's just because I said it. It's the craziest thing. And then they banned the post.
Yeah, they like removed it by the time Kwaku shared it across, and it hadn't even been 24 hours, and it had been removed, and it was just interesting to watch. I think it was funny because there were a couple of people, like a really small percentage of people who were trying to say something like, hey, here's a legitimate question that I have, and I'm not asking this as like a way to just like punch at you, you know?
Yeah.
And it was intriguing. So there were a few of those. I don't want it to come across as if like nobody engaged well, but like the prevailing attitude was kind of like, oh, Kwaku's here, let's all beat on him, you know? It was not a healthy sight.
No, yeah, it was crazy. Actually, I thought you'd get a little bit more than that, man.
Well,
You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
like,
But
so
there was a couple of cool guys. Like, what was that one guy's name? He had an interesting. It was like critical thinker with a K.
Yeah,
yeah, some people
critical
had good
thinking.
questions. There's a couple cool questions. The rest were just people like mad, and the question they would ask, it was like, since the Book of Mormon's fake and Joseph Smith was a con man, why do you choose to engage in the works of a con man? And also, why do you hate yourself? And you're like, what's like what
Yeah,
kind of
but
question
aren't
is
these
that?
your peeps, Blake Bridger? Weren't you like Exmo for a while or something like that? What was your deal?
I mean, I went.
Or like Progmo or something. Like I don't know. I don't
You're like-
want to be trashing on his like pals or something. Like, who
You're like,
knows?
here, Bridger, here's
Yeah.
all this baggage.
You know, like I want.
No,
No, meant to
so-
be baggage, but like
I had a faith crisis that lasted about a year. I came
Okay.
out still believing. But yeah, I'm a friend of Julie Hanks, right? So you could, if that means I'm a progmo, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Julie Hanks.
yeah, I was about gonna say.
Yeah.
You're so close to having something to box over.
Yeah, we're actually. I heard Michelle Stone challenged her to a walk-off. So maybe after our boxing match, we can have the hot mom competition. You know what I'm saying?
No, I have
Oh
gone
my
on
gosh.
record. I've gone on record saying that I have a crush on Julie Hanks. I don't care who knows it.
That's funny, man. That's
A record.
hilarious. Oh, you're on the record.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, if something happens with if she's ever on the market again, just you'll
I'll have the
you'll be
shopping cart
waiting
near.
there like when you get at the bottom of LAX in the airport and there's guys that have a sign
Wouldn't
saying
that
like
be
Mr.
crazy news, though?
Williams, you'll be there.
What
just
the
like,
Just
heck?
think about how big that news would be.
Oh my gosh.
Kwaku and Julie Hanks dating. It would be everyone would be like, "Whoa!"
Okay, be honest with me, Kwaku. On a scale of like from 0 to 100%, how much of that is the reason you like Julie Hanks?
No, because I don't care. No.
because you think it'd be a sensation.
No, look, I don't care, dude. I hate all the.
That's only
freaking-
40%.
No, I'm not into anything. I don't want the clout.
What happened
She's
to
just
Taylor
hot.
Frankie Paul? I thought you were like a big Taylor Frankie Paul guy.
No, what are you talking about? I don't even follow her.
I thought you said she was hot.
I mean, objectively, yeah.
Ah, okay.
That's
cool.
like
Well, I want to ask Bridger some questions. Can I ask
if
Bridger
a
some
Victoria's
questions?
Secret model walked into your room naked. What? It's like, okay, sure, but like,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
Hey,
not
so
like a-
Bridger, so you had your faith crisis, last about a year or whatever. Okay, so like, what kept you, man? Why aren't you angry, downvoting on Ex-mormon subreddit, Kwaku's? Why aren't you moderating Exmo subreddit and censoring Kwaku right now?
Yeah. So, and I've told this story on Comeback Podcast and since Unscripted, so people can watch those for like the full context. But essentially, so my faith crisis started. I got on Ex-mormon TikTok, followed all the accounts, read the CES letter, lost my faith for quite a while. Eventually, I came to realize that some of the arguments that were being presented were not entirely honest, and it pissed me off. And it motivated me to study for hundreds to thousands of hours, to the point where I felt like it was a decision on if I wanted to believe or not. There was enough evidence that went both ways. And I was like, well, I can choose to believe in nothing. Just, I mean, I'm a chance. I'm just some random chance of coincidence, or I can choose to believe I'm a child of God. So the decision was easy for me. And from then, I just choose to believe every day. And yeah, that's how it went.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That was pretty.
I think that's a super reasonable place to get to, because we talked about this a tiny bit in the other episode we just did about the Kwaku getting censored on the Ex-mormon subreddit. But it seems like a lot of people, when they get into that faith crisis mode, just forget all of the church history that they first knew. And it's like, okay, suddenly all of that's completely invalidated. And now all of this new bad stuff is the only stuff that's valid. When it's like, no, guys, you can't just chuck out everything that was there before. There may be some validity to the new stuff you're learning, but you got to learn how to synthesize those things. Otherwise, you're going to believe something just as false if you just believed one side of the story before. Believing one side of the story again later isn't going to be better for you.
You know, I just realized something, Bridger. I got a lot of respect for you. Like, believe it or not, I see a lot of me in you. Like, if I were weak and I had a faith crisis, I would study. No, I'm totally just kidding. I'm just totally kidding. I'm totally just smashing on you. I'm just kidding, man. But I actually tell people all the time when they come back, like, oh, dude, I didn't hear about this thing or whatever. I'm like, dude, study the crap out of it. Like, seriously, like go study it. Like, people have been hating us forever and writing crap about us forever. And there is a canon out there that you can choose to adopt tomorrow if you want to. You know what I'm saying? But like, you want to know about freaking Kinderhook plates or whatever? Study the crap out of it. Study the life of the person that wrote what Joseph Smith did. Study, go look up the originals in the freaking Antiquarian Society of Pennsylvania. Read every primary journal source. Go to FAIR. Go to wherever. I am fully convinced, and I did one of our first probably 50 podcasts we did back in the day was I said, I don't think you'll ever have more than 51% of a testimony in much of anything unless you actually have a prayerful experience. That our brains are just built to like self-equalize with positive and negative information. You know what I'm saying? And it really does, like you said, say, I choose to believe every day. It starts ringing true. Like when the old prophets and apostles said that you kind of have to choose happiness. You know, I'm not going to say that to somebody who's starving, like abjectly starving somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But for anybody that's not out of one of those intense physical situations opposed upon them by evil directly, you really do realize that sometimes happiness just is a choice. You have to just say, like, I choose happiness. You know what I'm saying? So that's like kind of interesting that you said that. I got a lot of respect for somebody that says, you know what, dude, boom, I'm just going in. Putting on the freaking rain boots and going out in the storm, and I'm putting on the snowboarding jacket and I'm hitting the black diamond. I'm totally sounding like a dumb jock or fisherman right now. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
black diamond fishing is very common. Yeah.
I think it's important that we choose our shelf, right? Because we love to talk about, like, we put things on the shelf. Well, everything has a shelf. But atheism, Christianity, everyone. Yeah. Oh. Everybody has to pick a shelf. Oh. You know, atheism has a shelf, Mormonism has a shelf, mainstream Christianity, Buddhism, whatever. They're all going to have shelves. There are going to be logical arguments that go both ways, and we just got to pick which shelf do we want, which shelf is the heaviest. And when I realized that, like, the shelf for Mormonism, you know, tells me that I can be I'm a child of God. I can stay with my family forever. Sure, I'm going to have to learn how to deal with the Book of Abraham, Deutero, Isaiah, some things like that. But compared to like the shelf of atheism and intelligent design, fine tuning, you know, they all have a shelf, and I think it's important that we get to pick which one we want.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of what you see in 2 Nephi chapter 2, where it's like we get to decide between one choice and the other. I really do feel like God has done his best to design the world in a way that it's up to us. That's part of it. The key to agency is that we don't have such a clear-cut answer of a yes or no either way. Because even as much as some people want to say, oh, well, it's really clear-cut that there's no evidence that the Book of Mormon could be true. Yeah, you can say that, but that doesn't mean it's true. There's so much room for learning and understanding more that I think it's a beautiful thing that we kind of end up needing to walk by faith rather than sight.
Yeah, you know something I love about your well, first off, yes, you're correct, Brad, and I validate everything you say.
Oh, thanks.
I'm trying to acknowledge people before they move along.
I feel acknowledged.
Thanks. I mean, you're welcome. But you know something I love about your content, you know, because it's really only like in the past week that it finally got recommended to me. On Instagram, though. I think it's on Instagram, not on TikTok. I don't do TikTok, so I guess I'm seeing whatever your Instagram stuff is, you know. He like sits there, he's like, he'll play like a clip and he'll be like, no, this isn't true. This isn't, and he like, you talk like somebody who is just so over it. You know what I'm saying? In these like 1 minute clips where I'm just like, oh man, this brother must have poured over hours of just like evidence and primary materials and just bad arguments, and finally reached a point where he's just like, he's just done with it. And he's like, oh man, no, this isn't true. But I do want to buy you a microphone because I feel bad for you always having to hold that little thing.
I mean, I use it on my phone and it's fine. It works.
All right.
It works just fine. But yeah, I need to improve my attitude in my videos, to be honest. That's something I'm working on when I start making them come back.
I like it.
I totally get it. And like my attitude's been really bad the past couple of episodes we just recorded.
Yeah, it's you've been a different Brad.
It's been
No,
bad.
Bridger, I like the reluctant apologist. Like the upset I have to do this apologist. Those are my favorites.
It's like
it's really
modern day CS Lewis.
I don't trust anyone too excited to argue about church.
It's true.
Unless
Yeah.
they're really hot, you trust him then.
Like, what hot apologist girls do we have?
We'll find one. Brittany, she's hot.
She's not an apologist.
She helps us out. Riley does.
They're
she's
not
on the show.
apologists.
We're not, and we're
Well,
not. Really
we're not either,
apologists.
but they call us that.
Yeah, but
I'm not. I don't consider myself an apologist either. I don't.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't like. I don't like the word.
You know, Bridger, for some reason, I recognize it doesn't make any sense. I thought you were British. Maybe it's because of the hats you wear, but I thought you were just like a good little
Yeah,
chap.
maybe.
I don't know. I thought like you were straight up British when I first saw you. Like,
Yeah,
can't you
dude.
see him like, oh, I'm from Dunshire? Like, he's kind of got that look, you know?
Yeah, dude, I could see you getting in a fight or two. Like if you were like in a gang, you'd be like the short, stocky guy in the back that carries the baseball bat that you don't want to mess with because it'll hit you in your kneecaps. You know what I'm saying? Like
what does that mean?
Like I've seen Peaky Blinders. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, you know?
that what's
Good show.
Yeah, pretty
I
awesome.
haven't seen it.
So anyway,
Yeah, I
like,
haven't
what do
seen
you
it
do
yet.
for fun, bro? Like, what's your thing? Were you a rugby guy? You look like you could have been a rugby guy.
No, so I mean, I played tennis in high school. As of right now, I read and I write and I play video games while listening to books. Pretty boring.
Okay, dude, COVID done you good, man. You probably were loving COVID, right? You're like, lock this cheese down and give me my books and my video games, man. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't during COVID. I wasn't really into books and stuff. That was just since my faith crisis. I've really enjoyed studying. So that's what I do in most of my free time is I will read or I'll play a video game and listen to a book.
Hey, so what was your biggest pro book? Like you said, you read the CES letter and you got really angry because you felt like you were, lied to or the stories weren't right or whatever, and then you dove right in. Was there anything that when you dove right in, you were like, oh man, this is like, if you read a good horror script in the industry here, I do a lot of independent filmmaking, right? And we call it nightmare fuel. If you read like Nightmare Fuel, it's like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. We got to make this movie, right? Did you ever read any like testimony fuel or anything like that?
Yeah, one of the first ones I read is because I wanted to like explore like the CES letter but reverse, and I would say like the case for the Book of Mormon right now is one of the best at doing that. And so yeah, Tadar Callister's case for the Book of Mormon was one of the first ones and had one of the biggest impacts on me,
what's that?
showing that like
I don't know what that is. What book is that?
You haven't read that? It's right.
Is it like old? Is it modern? Is it like Hugh Nibley written in the 70s, or is it like?
No, it's recent. It's this one right here.
Oh, dude, we
Oh,
got to get
sweet.
this guy on. Who is he?
Oh,
He's
Ted
a
Chad
Callister?
Callister?
He's a general authority,
general authority,
or a
Card.
former general authority.
Oh, really? Dude, I'm
Yeah,
a
he-
California Mormon. We don't worship these. Like Utahns, like worship the apostles and the general authorities like they're like baseball cards, and they like try and collect autographs from them all. Like the one thing we're just like, yeah, we got like one assigned to our state. I know our local one. It used to be a German guy by the name of Slaughter, Elder Slaughter. How cool is that? I think that's pretty awesome. But anyway,
So what's a progmo?
it's a colloquial term for progressive Mormons, but for me and my personal understanding, it's somebody who puts their progressivism in front of their Mormonism and their identity as a progressive and their progressive values ahead of their identity as a child of God, a child of the covenant, and a member of the human family. So that's kind of my colloquial understanding.
If I can add to that, it's
Yeah.
It's the left-leaning side of the same thing that you would see with somebody who is on the right politically, putting their politics in front of their religion. They're both equally doing the doctrines of men mingled with Scripture, letting their ideologies of man inform the way that they worship God rather than the other way around. That's, I think, the hallmark for me. If you're more interested in your politics than you are in God, you're not in a solid place.
Yeah, so by the way, before we go forward, we want to keep the convo going, but we got to recognize the super chat. EJS says, Jonah Barnes, I'm back! Exclamation mark. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's like Chucky or like a 90s horror movie saying, I'm back. You know, I don't know if it's like, I'm back. I don't know if it's like somebody went inactive and now they're back at church. I don't know if maybe that's your wife and she's just letting you know that, you know, she's back. She's tried hollering at you from down the hall, but you got your earphones on. And so she just super chatted on the live stream to let you know what's going on. I don't know what that is, but she says I'm back. So, yeah, anyway, keep going. Say what you were saying, Brad.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, it's just the doctrines of men mingled with Scripture. If you can have it on either side.
Yeah.
I get called a progmo like all the time. And really the only like evidence I ever see people to back the claim that like I'm a progmo is like I think prophets can be wrong. And by that standard, Cardin's one of the biggest progmos out there.
That's true.
So I
don't think anyone like prophetic infallibility isn't a doctrine of our church.
Well, the only difference between believing that prophecy, you become a progmo.
I think you can say they're wrong publicly. That's my position.
Dino Rohrstorff was wrong for donating to the Democrats.
Yeah, that was what the conversation I had with Jacob on his podcast. That's where the idea that I'm a progmo comes from, is I think you can publicly disagree with leaders of the church without being, you know,
I just
in a
think
position to get excommunicated.
Well, also, it really determines on how you do it. Like, you can tell there's an attitude of self-aggrandization or like for example, you can disagree with some of the Israeli policies on Middle East peace or whatever without being anti-Semitic. Yet we've all met the anti-Semites that hide behind the BDS movement. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes it honestly is attitude driven. And there are people that will disagree with something and they'll do it quite vocally and publicly, and they do it in order to self-aggrandize, increase their station in both their eyes and the public's. And then there's those that are just like, you know, like, hey, I don't know about that one. Or they absolutely lack the humility to say, okay, explain this to me. You know, I mean, there's people that just say, I disagree because they know everything. And they won't even say, okay, explain this to me, at which point I'm like, okay, whatever. But I don't think just one simple disagreement with a church authority puts you on that. I think repetitive behavior that's annoying probably results in that. Or if you're just trying to razz a buddy online, I don't know, that could work.
So is Julie Hanks a progmo then?
Oh, most definitely.
When I see her post things like the love is advocacy, like in direct response to when Elder Holland says we need to be careful that our love is not mistaken for advocacy, that's hard for me to say.
Dude, and we got her PR agent right here, man. Don't you go messing with Julie Hanks.
Because
when you've got the CEO of Julie Hanks DefenseFund.com
but what I will
right here.
What I will say is I don't think I want to put that label on somebody that I haven't spoken to in person.
Yeah, I'd say I'm reluctant to do that as well. I'll say it in jest, but
because like if I'm able to like understand where they're coming from, I can see an avenue of thought in which that could be done without it being a thing where your progressivism is informing your actual faith. But I do think that's a slimmer chance just from my own worldview. But yeah, I would have to talk to her to know, you know?
So Bridger, I agree with you, because a couple weeks ago I faced the wrath of the online troglodytes known as Desnat for
that thing that still exists.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. See.
But like at this point, I feel like it's all just a bunch of anti-Mormons trying to make stuff up. They call us.
No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I'm gonna tell the story.
Dude, Bill Reel just did a video calling us Desnats, saying that all these things they found in cyberspace
Can we finish
were secret
one
accounts
story
from us
before we jump to the
but
next
if
one?
all the references to
We
this
haven't
thing
even
aren't
talked
real,
about what it is.
it's like shadow people.
We can't discuss what it is. All right.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Fine.
So, the Desnets are real. They're there. They're so bad. Look, I don't ever agree with Antifa, but that Desnet Exposed account, you know what? I'm sorry. They get one dub.
Oh
They
my
get one
god.
No, they do.
What's one dub? What's that mean?
They win. They get a win.
They get a win.
Oh, okay. Why?
All of them except for Lego Joseph Smith deserved it. I said it.
Oh, that's not fair. You can't endorse list making.
Yes, you
Everything
can.
that happened. Oh, stop.
Carden,
The
you haven't
Human
seen
Rights
their tweets.
Campaign ruins people's lives and businesses
I
all
ain't
the time
talking
that
about
don't
the
deserve
HRC.
it.
I'm talking about these people. Who?
Oh,
Yes.
that's when you know you're
Can
on
you
the right
just
side.
say it with an angry accent next time when you just say these
No,
people?
I mean, they make the church look terrible. They're completely mocking Jesus Christ. They are. I mean, they're the definition of taking the
Wait,
Lord's
how do
name
they
in
mock
vain.
Christ?
Okay, I'm gonna give some examples. You just can't cut me off.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So, one example is you've got people like who's the Haas guy? What's his real name?
The Daily Haas.
Oh, isn't that the one guy that had like a Bowie knife that made a video
Yeah,
with you?
with
But
like-
isn't it just some mentally ill guy from Springville that just had
No.
a beef?
No, he's not. He said in a tweet he thinks Jesus Christ would use the N-word, stuff like that.
Well, he's gone
Aye.
Kanye West crazy. Okay.
I wouldn't.
Do
No,
you think
no.
Kanye West is not at this point pushed over the edge into mental illness due to the stress that he's involved with?
Well, we know that Kanye West has a handler. That's a whole different thing. Like the guy is certifiably mentally ill.
Look, the only
We're talking about
times
people
I-
though that are claiming to be missionaries and disciples of Christ online, and when engaging about doctrines with other people, put forward the worst things, the most stereotypical
Yeah.
things, and fulfill what anti-Mormons
But you
think.
don't see that as a glaring example of mental illness, not somebody's actual doctrine. Like we had a
No.
guy in our stake
No.
once.
Carter,
Hold
no.
on, we had a kid in our stake that I knew that was in my scout troop. The parents started receiving mail from somebody that didn't live there until they realized that it was this kid's
It's not the
secondary
same thing.
ego, and he started like wearing the American flag while playing guitar and like started making these really crazy pro-patriot things and then saying wild stuff online about the church and about America and about
No, it's
patriotism.
not. I get where you're
And it was
going, but it's
mental
not.
illness.
It's not
you
the same thing.
you
There's-
don't have to be mentally ill
Also-
to make racist comments.
Also, Carden, you haven't dealt with the accounts I have for years. You don't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
There's a Discord chat with like 30 of these people. Some of them get kicked off of missions when their mission president found out the things they were saying. They get fired from their jobs when they get exposed. We're talking about terrible, terrible, evil things. And you know it's bad when people get doxxed all the time. But when your doxing is so bad, every person goes, "Oh, yeah, this is a level of evil. This is like literally you're defending who in World War II?" One guy was the Assistant Attorney General of Alaska who's involved in
Wow.
this. It made the church look terrible. Like, these people do such a terrible job. And so when you come out and say, yeah, no, they're wrong, and they go, well, I bet you think Brigham Young was wrong. Yeah, Adam's not God.
Then why do they call you a Desnat?
Uh,
They call Brad a Desnat. They call me a Desnat. They call
The-
Jacob Hatz a Desnat.
Yeah,
Anybody
the-
that's
well,
not
I don't see how
progressive.
we
Let me
have-
finish.
Canadian can be a
Anybody
Desnat.
that's not progressive, that is not overtly
Who is they?
socialist or progressive, anybody.
The
No,
people,
no, no,
the
they-
people who made the Desnat block
We
list.
had a Salt Lake Tribune article insinuate that
Yeah,
that
no, that's
we
what I
were
mean.
all Desnats.
those
Like, what?
those are the boomer journalists who aren't even kind of engaged in this. No one actually thinks. Very few people actually think we're part of the Desnat team. If they actually look up the Desnat hashtag, all the
all the
seasons
people in my
condemn.
stake that read the Salt Lake Tribune that got sent to them came up to me like, whoa, what is this?
Why are people in your stake reading the Salt Lake Tribune?
Oh, because because people don't realize the volume of California Mormons that there are, dude. There's more members of the church in California than there are in Utah, just by sheer numbers.
Well, the point I was
Yeah.
trying to make is I understand what Bridger is saying, because whenever that gets out there discussing can prophets be wrong, and to what men you're allowed to discuss mistakes or doctrinal errors or even false doctrines that prophets have said, you get lambasted by a certain very right-wing element of the church, usually fringe and crazy element of the church, and they want to push it into that you're progmo. It doesn't make you a progmo to just know history.
So,
And
well,
didn't that like Desnat hate come to you because you essentially said the church can be doing more to help people in need with the homeless stuff? Isn't
Yeah,
that
well,
like
they found
isn't that
four-
where it started?
Like, they found 4 homeless people frozen like Ice Age, dead on the ground, like 6 blocks from Temple Square. And I'm like,
Oh, the temple.
Yeah,
you
and
mean
it
in the
was-
city run by Democrats, right? That
Well,
one?
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
the,
cool.
I'm sure it has nothing to
Because
do
my
with
city run by Democrats has a huge homeless problem.
Okay, your city doesn't
And,
have the top temple of the house of the Lord.
Yeah,
Dude, their
but
hands
also-
are tied. Their hands,
There,
you know,
there
their
are
hands are
all
tied by
sorts
city
of
council that
laws
hates
that
them.
make it so they can't be involved.
Their
Here's
hands
what
are
I wish it wasn't that
Here
way.
is what I'm saying. I am saying, and it was a throwaway tweet.
Okay.
Don't we have a gym we can put him in? It was the most throwaway tweet.
Yeah.
And people lost their minds.
They really reacted strongly.
And
to
then
that
they're
one.
like,
Really? You mean like, don't we have like a chapel gym to put them in, you said, right?
Yeah.
like a cultural hall, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, but the people losing their minds were the people that were, a lot of them were Desnats, and they were just like, I can't believe this is what Kwaku's suggesting. It's like, no, this is not some long soliloquy as to what to do. I'm saying we have 4 people frozen in ice like the Titanic dead on the street in the capital of Mormondom. I'm sure we could have fixed the problem. And we went, by the way, we went so freaking legalist when that happened. Everyone started talking about, well, if you look at like guys,
The ACLU prohibits us from being able to help
but
homeless
don't we
people.
think God is stronger? At some point we have to recognize, like, Jesus, if we put our minds to something and it's gonna help people, Jesus will make it work. Why are we
Yeah,
so
but we
much of
also-
pansies
but we-
afraid?
It sucks, and this is a problem that I have with Mormonism in general, because everybody's all like, well, we believe in being subject to kings and rules and principalities. Okay, well then when corporatism wants to make money through methadone off homeless people, and they convince the ACLU to lobby so that you can no longer, when they want to gut the 5150 for actual real 5150 people, like the homeless people in the New York City subway system that I saw banging their heads against the tile of the wall until it started to bleed, the real ones, okay? When that's completely gutted and you can't help those people. Why? Because big pharma and corporate America has to make money off them first. And we live in a system where all of these devout members believe in cooperating with the system. Yeah, it sucks when you say, I could directly help this person, but I am prohibited by both the law of the state and this, like,
I'm sure, though, there are a number of really, really, really good reasons why Moses should have just left the Jews in Egypt. He should have not started that. There were so many. I'm sure there was some Egyptian
know,
priest
Quaker.
lawyer who's like, "Look, man,
I don't think that's the right analogy, though. I feel like this
Yeah,
is
I'm not getting
saying
it, but anyway.
this is like saying, hey, you know what? We should have had the stripling warriors just go be a strike force directly into the Lamanites, even though they weren't prepared for it, even though it wasn't the right time for it. We're set up with laws that are designed to keep the church from being able to help in the way that you're talking about.
because we might accidentally become Zion again, and that would be really embarrassing. If a church with like 12 bureaucrats
I do want to
actually
say
did a better job than an entire state of California.
I do want to say, though, idealistically, I agree with you. I think realistically, we're in a world that doesn't allow for churches to take those kinds of actions that you're saying.
I know, I understand what you guys are saying, but I'm saying, is this not an example of oh ye little faith?
You know, you're right, though. Like, we believe our God is an awesome God. We should be able to overcome. Where there's a will, there's a way. If we renewed our efforts, I'm sure we
When
could
the-
come up with something.
Remember
That's
the story
fair.
of when the mob is
But-
chasing the saints and they're gonna die and they're on this side of the Mississippi River and Joseph prays and God drowns the whole mob, all of them. Like I sometimes think we forget we're living in a Bible story right now, and I'm like. I know that Jackie, whatever,
That's
the mayor
fair.
of Salt Lake, and you got the. I know there's going to
That's
be a bunch
fair.
of people trying to, but all I'm saying is, I think if we collectively as a people said, look, we know this might be a legal, risky choice, but we're going to put faith in God to do the right thing to help people. I guarantee we would see some crazy miracles that would work out on our behalf.
Hey, but who has the
and-
keys to the chapel?
And
But to address some of the concerns that people had with your suggestion, you could even just adjust so that you don't have people needing to go to sacrament meeting while it's being used as a shelter. You can designate some certain chapel buildings to be used rather than have it be like, hey,
and,
they're
and that's what I clarified.
and fix the safety concerns that some people have.
You know, I'm not saying we need to have little kids playing basketball with Billy the hobo. I'm just saying, we own Utah. Like I know there's a warehouse we can buy there for
Fair
sure.
enough. Fair enough.
For sure.
Look, you
And-
win. Bridger?
Yeah, from what I saw and like what the core problem for me was, like, that was a fair suggestion. The church should be doing more. And immediately it felt like just like this huge community on Twitter. I don't even want to say Desnet, just LDS Twitter in general. just started like making fun of Kwaku's mental health, like
that was
insulting
weird.
him. Like it was insane.
But
And
who
it
are these
just
people? Why do I get recommended on Twitter?
just because he was like, hey, we could probably be doing more to help people. And it was like, they're so insecure about saying the church could be doing more. They immediately just start attacking like the mental health of the person who suggested it. It was, and that's like that. Yeah. And it blows my mind because those same people are like Julie Hanks or Bridger or other are causing people to leave the church. Just like, no,
Oh,
you're
they come
causing
after
people
you too?
Yeah. I
They're
get
the same
beef
type
all the
of people
time.
who attack him.
Oh
Yeah.
man, geez, that's
I
I'm
get beef from
sorry.
both sides. It's fine. But like they're the same people who are like Julie Hanks or Bridger, like you're causing people to leave the church. And it's like, no, your insane behavior of thinking the church is completely perfect and anyone who disagrees with anything, you insult their mental health. That's what's pushing people away.
It could also be both, just to be fair.
Oh yeah, maybe
There-
you're
there's truth to
responsible, dog. No.
No, but
Not
I mean,
you as much.
I-
I can't believe Julie Hanks did the freaking what were they? The stickers for celebrating your faith transition?
Yeah, she's making money. It's trafficking in human misery.
That one stood out to me a ton
Yes,
as like
it
a
is.
what
That-
why are you
that-
doing that?
If
Can
you
think of a
can't
reason?
call John DeLynn an anti-Mormon, the most obvious spade a spade, and say, "Oh, he's just a mental health professional," because you're afraid of offending a fellow moneymaker.
No, I
That's,
could
Okay,
that's
I-
a joke.
I could
don't-
see a
I don't
reason
think
for her to be
John's
strategic
an
in talking about that.
anti-Mormon. I'll say it right. I don't think
Really?
John's an anti-Mormon.
Oh no.
Yeah, he doesn't. I haven't seen him call for violence or bigotry. I see him critiquing the institution of the
Oh,
church.
he's just a critic. He's just a critic.
That I mean,
Oh.
if we overuse the term anti-Mormon, it decreases the significance it should hold with people like New Name Noah and
But
some real
John
anti-Mormons.
DeLynn is like the king of anti-Mormons.
Or
He's like
just
the original one.
Laura Hoare never called for violence.
I
He
don't.
insinuates it all the time.
I think anti-Mormon should hold the same weight as it does anti-Semitic. When we hear no one wants to be called
Okay.
an anti-Semitic, but people are openly saying they're anti-Mormon
you
and
can
being
be an
cheered on
anti-Semite that's not
because
violent.
but no one wants to be called an anti-Semitic. You can call yourself an anti-Mormon and people are like, oh yeah, that's cool. You're an anti-Mormon.
Okay, at the Daily
Like-
Stormer, where they daily blog about why Jews are bad, they do not call for violence against them. But would you call that blog anti-Semitic, or just say no?
Yes,
they're
if it-
just critiques.
Yes, if they're inherently saying that Jews are just bad people, that's
His
anti-Semitic.
entire website and life is making money off the message that the Mormon Church is enabling all the things I can't say on YouTube, breaking up families, the celebration of mockery. Our society saw fit to give 9 Tony Awards to a Book of Mormon musical mocking a religion overtly. With no. I didn't see him out there saying, "Oh wait, no, this is one step too far."
He calls
That's
our
joking.
church a manipulative cult and does his best to paint the church as destructive, and then hides behind the thin veneer of his new term, a high demand religion, which we all know is exact code switching for cult.
For $5.99, you can also go and take his conference.
now
I think you can critique an
Tony
institution.
Robbins
I
isn't
can
an inspirational speaker
I-
either. He's just a critic of your lazy
Like-
lifestyle.
Speaking of John DeLynn, by the way, we have the photos of his police report of his call. Do we want to go over that right now?
well,
Bridget?
first
'Cause we
let's
haven't
let
had a
Bridget
chance.
feel like
let's let
that's
Bridget
letting it-
finish.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm just bouncing.
Yeah,
off.
sorry, I'm trying to remember where I was. But you can critique like the Catholic Church. I can critique the institution and point out things I think are harmful. I can start a podcast all about struggles I have with the Catholic Church. But once I start saying all Catholics are bad people or they're inherently evil or like call for violence for Catholics or cheer on bigotry towards them, that's anti-Catholicism. But I can be a Catholic critic without being anti-Catholic.
John
And that's
DeLynn paints
point I'm trying
every
to make.
single person who stays within the church as either, like literally, if you go watch his episode with Stephen Hassan, he makes it seem as though anybody who stays within the church is motivated from psychological problems or from emotional problems or from monetary issues.
You've never seen his video, They Knew All Along? Did you see our second or third video on debunking John DeLynn where we just go over his content that he says himself?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so, and this is a problem. I was actually going to do a video on this. One of the biggest problems that the church has is in our post-war wealth, we developed this suburban niceness culture that absolutely refuses to acknowledge that evil exists. And so here's my question for you. if the biggest, most obvious anti-Mormon isn't an anti-Mormon, then who is, Bridger?
New name Noah.
The irrelevant guy who's obviously mentally ill. Yes, once he threatened violence, and yes, he said he wants to So new name Noah. That one guy, he's the only one.
Cara Burrell, I think, is an anti-Mormon. I think.
Who was the co-host?
Sky Daddy on High.
Wait, Cara Burrell, the co-host of
Mormon Stories.
Alessandro on TikTok. I could probably give you a list about 30 right now
that John DeLynn hasn't.
Bigotry towards members of the church that I've seen. I mean, I haven't watched every Mormon Stories episode, so you guys might be aware of things John has said that I haven't said. Yeah, I haven't seen. I have seen Cara make claims that yes, members of the church are.
Would claiming
is Elf on the Shelf.
Okay, Wood claiming that we made threats upon his life that we factually didn't, while simultaneously, according to the timestamps that we have revealed online, been asking to come on our show and corresponding with us behind the scenes. Would that be considered a threshold of lying? It's Calvin Burke style with this guy.
Well, that's not anti-Mormon. That's just being a jerk or being dishonest. It's not.
Okay, would it be fair to say he's a dishonest person?
Yeah, I do think John is dishonest. Yes.
So when he initially got angry at the "This Is the Show" stuff that we had, where we had one tiny frame of a joke about him, he posted it with the caption, "Cults attack their critics." He was very clearly calling our church a cult. Is it not an anti-Mormon behavior to call the church a cult?
I think that's an anti-Mormon behavior. And I think we can call anti-Mormon behavior without labeling someone inherently as anti-Mormon who is repeatedly doing.
I think the body of John DeLynn's work is more than enough to label him as an anti-Mormon.
Yeah, you need to watch more of his stuff if you really don't think he's an anti-Mormon.
I mean, I probably watch as much as you guys, but I don't. From what I've listened to him, and the many hours
I think
he
does. He uses.
I think anti-Mormon is going over the top to label something. He promotes anti-Mormon rhetoric from time to time, but I don't see a consistent anti-Mormon behavior.
Have you seen his channel? What's the one with the
Understanding Mormonism?
Understanding Mormonism.
Yeah, I have seen that one.
It is 100% going through presenting false versions of the church's history and doing everything it can to make the negative, cynical side of the church history be the only one that's validated.
How about
he
this?
is the most anti-Mormon person I can think of.
That's being a critic, and you can say a dishonest critic. That's not anti-Mormonism inherently.
So what's the difference?
Saying that Joseph Smith was a dishonest con man, which I disagree with that, right? But saying Joseph Smith is a dishonest con man isn't anti-Mormon. It's just criticizing church history. Anti-Mormonism.
I'm going to join Bridger's side. Bridger needs
bigotry. I'm good.
How about this?
It's 3-on-1. It's not fair. I'm coming over to your side, Bridger.
I'm going to say this, Bridger. What if? Would you accept the term antichrist and antichrist for John DeLynn?
If they make things that I would consider antichrist, saying basically belief in Christ makes you a bad person, it makes you inferior, you're less than. Bigotry towards belief in Christ, I would consider antichrist.
Because I look at Korhor as a model of Korhor. I mean, is specifically called the Antichrist in the Book of Mormon, and his arguments are the same arguments John DeLynn uses. Like pretty, traditions of your fathers. Come on, you're
like about one for one. It's right there.
So, what if we met in the middle here, and we say John DeLynn's not an anti-Mormon, but he is an antichrist? Huh?
I'm going to stick with critic. If John promotes consistent bigotry from what I've seen towards members of the church, I will happily call him an anti-Mormon.
John DeLynn touched me in the no place. Okay,
no,
I have not seen that yet.
Here's something interesting. Can you name a time that he's renounced the excessive violence against the church, whether from the BLM riots or whether the Portland, Oregon chapel getting shut down, the 14% increase of anti-Mormon violence is reported by the FBI. We've had list goes on and on and on, and I can't think of a time where he's gone out there and abjectly said, hey, no, hold on a second. Meanwhile, you got our prophet that's like pleading with people as he's hugging the head of the NAACP to rid our hearts of all of our hatred. And John's out there saying, like, I will never apologize for my social justice. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if John's. I imagine I've seen him renounce behavior in the ex-Mormon community that is bigoted towards members of the church. I don't know of a specific example of violence. I'm sure it's there. I don't know. I can text him right now and see. But
because he's your bestie. I know.
So here's the deal, Bridget.
But
I can see the argument for calling someone like Peggy Fletcher Stack. I would say she is a critic of the church who is not a person who's anti-Mormon, right? She makes critiques of the church, but doesn't make value judgments about the people who stay in it, right?
But
John DeLynn absolutely makes value judgments about the people who stay in the church. So I just like, is your definition of critic just vastly expansive, or what would it take for someone to be an anti-Mormon in your eyes?
For me, it's consistently promoting bigotry and violence towards members.
So
every single time every single time a news article comes out that's tangentially related to the church, he represents the church in the worst light possible. And whenever he has any criticisms, he reserves his deepest criticisms only for the brethren of the church. He doxed his own sister. He cruelly sent all of these the ex-Mormon subreddit people after the stake president that excommunicated him. The horror stories I've heard from these people, you know what I'm saying, is brutal.
I haven't heard all of your horror stories, so I can't make a judgment on that. But if it's towards the institution, that's not anti-Mormon to me. People can say whatever they want about the institution of the church. When it becomes about the members specifically, you're evil because we're still like this. What is under the banner? You
support an institution that abuses children.
Under the banner of heaven would be. So hold on, let me finish my thought. So under the banner of heaven would be an example of what I would say is anti-Mormon. It's making a claim that, like, if you're staying in the church, you're inherently going to become violent or ignorant. That is anti-Mormon to me. I don't see that same
John
rhetoric.
DeLynn's meta-narrative is that the people who stay in the church are ignorant. That's all over the place in his videos.
I don't see that as often as I think people push that on.
I think he
you're right. They are insanely boring, and
I think he does a decent job of using as many like hedges as he can to try to make it seem like that's not what he's doing, but it comes out all the time. I'm honestly surprised that you don't see that.
I mean, no, I don't see. I mean, I see him making claims like belief in the church is illogical, and of course, from his perspective, it's not. And that's I wouldn't expect him to say it is because he's not a member of the church. But I don't think that's anti-Mormon. I think when it becomes like the members are stupid, they're ignorant, they don't know what they're talking about.
That's all over the place.
I don't see that as maybe I haven't watched enough, but I have watched around 100 hours of Mormon stories.
If you watch more of his stuff, especially when he gets this happens most, I think, when he's not cognizant of who he's talking to. Like, he's not going to say stuff like this when he's talking to Patrick Mason or to Jim Bennett. He's going to say stuff like this when he's talking to someone like Steve Hassan.
He worked over Jim Bennett. He got everything he wanted from Jim. Look, bro.
I think Jim did great on Mormon stories.
He's the because he validated every false narrative that John DeLynn wanted him to.
I don't think he did that. I don't think he did that at all.
Oh yeah, he got worked over by Bill Reel too. But RFM. I like Jim. He's a great guy. But I mean, he got worked those 2 times. I'm surprised he went back because supposedly Jim hated the fact that he said he was so heavily misrepresented after their first discussion being chalked up as a debate, and they claimed that they won. Apparently said he didn't like that. But anyway, look, here's the deal, bro. I say, just like I said before, study the crap out of it. If you really think that he's not and he's a great guy, I would tell you are in the extreme minority.
I didn't say he's a great guy.
Well, he's in your celly and you can text him.
Oh, man, yeah, I have his cell phone number. I have a lot of people's cell phone number.
Okay, cool. I know. Look, you hang out on Wednesdays in the secret Progmo Club. But no, I'm just totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. But,
that's the real definition of Progmo. Is if you have John DeLynn's cell phone.
So look, here's the deal. It's like It's like arguing about Donald Trump. Like, it's just whatever. So there's much funner things to talk about than the biggest obvious anti-Mormon out there. But study the crap out of it if you can really survive the study. Well,
do you think we overuse the term anti-Mormon? I think that may be simpler because I hate that, like, anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim, anti-Buddhist, those ring so hard and so aggressive, and anti-Mormon's like a compliment.
Wait, how is anti-Mormon a compliment?
outside of the church and being like critics will publicly say like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm an anti-Mormon for sure.
Well, yeah, because we don't fight it. Trust me, anti-Semitic used to be much more widely accepted before the ADL started really going to work. And the ADL has done amazing things for the Jewish community. We don't have an anti-defamation league. So we're in a different part of that cycle, okay? And second off, our media, which crafts what the American narrative generally is and controls a lot of the public's thought, still to this day, okay, is very anti-Mormon because it's anti-organized religion at large, but specifically it's anti-socially conservative. And if you generally have productive people who are socially conservative, they will be hated by the left and by the media in this country. So yeah, saying you're an anti-Mormon is like saying you're a good person because anybody that has to report on who's good and bad agrees with you and agrees with that side. That's why Donald Trump's term fake news got so much traction and is now just as much a part of our lexicon as, I don't know, Googling something is, because we all recognize that the news is fake and something has to change. So, yeah, look, if you don't think it's an anti-Mormon because you're trying to be super benevolent and say, I reserve that only for the violent ones, fine. I would actually say a violent anti-Mormon. That's what I would say. I think anti-Mormon just means that your life is against Mormonism.
I think I can maybe see where you're coming from, Bridger, because I think I've been in a similar seat to where you're at right now because of the way that the word ex-Mormon gets conflated with anti-Mormon. Because I don't think they should be equivalent. I actually think that we should be more precise with the way that we use the term anti-Mormon to describe the people who are actively doing what they can to undermine the church and the people in it, the anti-Christ kind of people who are living that way. I don't think everyone who's left the church is automatically an anti-Mormon, right? I think that it's in the anti-Mormon people's best interest that all the people who leave the church get painted as that, because then it makes their group bigger, right? So I think that we need to be more careful, and I appreciate that you are trying to do what you can to be more careful with these terms. I just think we need to be careful that our caution doesn't end up allowing people who really are almost like the definition of this word to not be shown for what they are on that. Because I do think if we're careful with the term ex-Mormon, we're good. We're going to fix the majority of the problems. And if we can be more careful with anti-Mormon applying to the people who are attacking the church consistently, that's like attacking it, not just critiquing it. I think there's a difference there that you
I think
onto.
When it becomes about the members and bigotry, if it's towards Joseph Smith and someone has a TikTok account and why they don't think Joseph Smith was a true prophet, I don't think that's anti-Mormon.
But when they're calling I would classify Bill Reel and RFM as anti-Mormons. Would you as well?
No, they're just great guys.
Yeah,
they're just
more
middle-aged bloggers trying to
more so than I would John.
Okay, so they're closer, but you're maybe not comfortable calling them that. I just see them calling, like they call the church leadership.
Richard
racist,
Spencer isn't a
liars.
racist. He's not a racist either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he's a critique. He's a critic of other people. That's all.
So I will say I think that you're being a little bit too generous with your terms here, but I'm not thinking that we won't get onto the same page within a year or two. I think you're seeing this now with how you're being treated on TikTok. You're getting a lot of people showing their true colors as anti-Mormons.
You know
because
what?
you're
And
standing
nothing
up for
is
something.
more annoying. Nothing is more annoying than Mormons who are really just Protestants getting angry at you over socially conservative things that are non-doctrinal. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if I got as much smoke as Bridger did, I'd probably be like,
Hey, Bridger, I accept your answer the way it is. And you know what? We all get to define stuff how we want.
Yeah,
No,
dude,
we really do.
Yeah.
The dictionary's dead. It's fine. Look, we're on the same team.
That was the most.
You know,
Yeah, we got to
descriptive
end in 5 minutes, man. We got.
Oh, do we?
Can you set me up with Julie? I mean, can you?
No.
Can you help?
Oh my gosh.
Is she's married, isn't she?
I think so.
I gotta
She's
stop
not-
making
I
these jokes if she's married.
well, I don't-
She is
she's
married, yeah.
Ah, now I feel weird.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay,
dude,
cool.
sorry for beating
No,
that to
no,
death.
she probably appreciates it. You know, it's better to be called a hot mama on the internet than called all the other stuff, right? You know?
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
since we are changing the subject, we should go back to that photo, the photos of the John DeLynn stuff. It's in the Discord, Carden, if you want to pull
Oh,
that
the
up.
stuff, the false accusations he made against us?
Yeah, because this one's an interesting one. He
Okay.
waited 2 years to then put out the stuff saying, oh, here is the police report that I filed, and here the Midnight Mormons guys are absolute liars because here's the actual police report.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there it is. So he says, we'd originally called Salt Lake. Well, not we. Kwaku did this with his buddies.
And I talked to other people who also called and
Yeah.
said, like, yeah, we asked if there was a police report, and they said that there wasn't one filed. So if you look here, I think you see the thing that might answer the question here is he made the report on what? We're looking at it. It was filed on December 5th, right?
And then it says printed on December
Occurred on
16th,
December 5th.
2022. Oh, occurred on. Okay.
Approved on December 18th, 2020.
Okay.
So we called within what, 2-3 days, Kwaku?
Yeah.
Of the actual incident. We were calling right after, and they said that it wasn't there. So I wonder if they just told us that there wasn't a report filed because it didn't even get approved until December 18th. So we may not have been given the information that was there because it was just a slow system.
Yeah, look,
the
there
police.
could be a bureaucratic or a parliamentary explanation for how these two things talked past each other. But at the end of the day, nothing changes the fact that he literally openly admits to violating the Karen Act. It's a violation of the Karen Act to call the cops or the police on an African American who's doing an everyday activity. The only thing that happened was that Kwaku retweeted a meme. He retweeted a meme. He did an everyday activity. A young black man retweeted something, and that made it so that John DeLynn would call the cops and then start lying to us. And by the way, you know what's interesting, Bridger? He did it within 48 hours of what? A fundraiser, a big fat fundraiser in which he said, I'm so scared, so you guys have to give me money because I'm scared, right? And then
Because I'm fighting the $1 trillion church.
Oh, and he says, I'm not an anti-Mormon, but in all of his asks for money, he says, it's just me versus the church, when it's just you versus a worldwide religion. What does a guy who markets himself as me versus the religion, if that's not an anti-Mormon, I don't know what is. But guess what? When he released this, go look at his channel. It was within 48 hours of his end of the year plea for money. He's a genius. See, this was what's so funny is I don't think he's stupid. I think he's genius. He knows the boomers. They fall for the cry bully tactics. They fall for the, oh, I'm just a doubter. He knows the terrorists. They get behind the school buses before they launch the rockets into Israel. Why? Because they're waiting for the news organizations to show up and say, oh, there's rockets. And the second the Israelis shoot back, they're like, look at those Israelis trying to shoot up these school buses. He's a genius. He's a tactician. He notices he's not relevant for a week or two. Boom, drops the report that vindicates him before he asks for money.
Like, if he was actually concerned with clearing up the air and like getting on the same page, he could have reached out. By the way, he was actively texting Carden about coming on the show the day he filed the police report.
Just want to say, though.
Do you think I'm lying? Actually, Bridger, do you think I'm lying?
You said a lot. So about what?
That he was texting me while
I don't.
So do you think do you think a man who is actively in cyberspace and on his channel saying, I fear for my life, give me money to help me, and simultaneously within the hours texting me, asking me, hey, how can I make it so I come on your show? How do we organize this? Do you think that's not a lie?
No, I think that's a lie, and I think it's dishonest and childish. My thing is, if you guys did promote the idea that John didn't actually call the police, and despite our feelings about him calling, I think it was childish of him to do that in the first place and stupid, right? But if you did promote the narrative that he never called the police and that turned out not to be true, I think you should own up to that, say sorry,
you see the video?
and move on.
No, but did you see the video where we called and recorded the call with the cops where they said, we have no record of this between
I did, but if it didn't turn out to be true, you should still walk it back.
Let me clarify one thing. We didn't say John DeLynn is just a liar. We said we called the cops and they said that they haven't received a report from him.
Yeah, we literally documented the process of us trying to validate this because we wanted a copy. We would have loved.
We said
we wanted this. There's nothing to apologize for.
We said that this is the evidence that makes it look like he's lying, right? Which I think is a very.
By the way, why am I defending Kwaku's video? This guy, he was the genius that edited this whole thing.
That's
and here I am defending these guys.
Here.
Yeah, go ahead, Kwaku.
Israel is kind of guilty, but besides that, I just got to
just had to get that out there.
Let's be honest, they kind of do some messed up stuff. Look, all is fair in love and war, and look, John, we've thrown punches back and forth. I still haven't forgotten that one.
We
video
don't endorse all being
me.
fair in love and war, okay? But
No, or I'm just trying to operate off of something I think is a good foundation, like Sun Tzu's The Art of War. So when I kind of, I look at John and I go, huh? So remember that video you made about me, John? Remember? Like, he's very illiterate for darky or whatever he said. So you know what? I ain't apologizing to him. I don't like him.
Yeah, because remember that, Bridger? Like, you're telling us to
I don't
apologize.
have a noble reason. I don't like him.
And John DeLynn released an apology video, not on his Mormon Stories channel, but on a small channel with little to no followers.
Did you see the insanely racist thing? Do you endorse the insanely racist things that he said about Kwaku?
No, Bridger does not, obviously. Here's what
and I don't think John is like this saint. I think you guys can still continue to critique and call him out, but I just think own up to maybe if you spread some information that may not have been true, because I feel like in some of your podcasts you said John fake called the police on us. I'm fairly certain that has been said on numerous podcasts.
I hate to say,
show me the timestamps.
I'm not
the evidence at the time said that.
Wait, I'm not convinced even that these papers are real. The best thing about being me is I don't pretend to be some like super great, like nicest guy ever. I don't like you, John. I'm not apologizing to you.
And Bridger, this is what you're getting duped. And this is what most members, what you right now want us to apologize for the false narrative you've ingested. That you think that we've been out there saying, fake this, fake that, when really Kwaku made a video in which him and his buddies doubted that it happened. So they called the cops and asked. If John feels he was misrepresented, he should call the Salt Lake City Police Department. He should call the CHP, not the CHP, that's California Highway Patrol. But he should call the Highway Patrol that was also called. And he should say, hey, when these people videotaped, me asking for help and filing a report, you said it wasn't happening. This is fueled their fire. You notice that nobody's calling the Salt Lake City PD that, quote, misrepresented him. They're saying, why did you? All we did was ask. So when we ask and we get an answer, and I shouldn't even say we again, but in the video, when Kwaku and his buddies ask for a copy of the report and they say there is no record of this ever having happened, they're one step short of go away and get off the cell phone with me, pal. Why is that his fault for having reported on that? And why should he have to apologize when he actually did something no anti-Mormon ever does? He recorded himself in the process in order to be 100% transparent.
I'm not asking Kwaku to apologize for recording and sharing the police department information. I believe you guys have said John DeLynn lied about calling the police department.
Could you show us the timestamps?
And if I mean, I don't have them on me right now.
So
but
literally,
if I go and get the
timestamps
for you, would you be willing to walk that back? If I grab the timestamps.
John DeLynn lied about us calling the cops. I said it.
Okay, and walk it back.
I want Bridger to make his point because we're kind of stopping him from.
Yeah,
well,
make your point.
My thing is like, I hate spreading things about people that aren't true. I go on Ex-mormon TikTok. I see something about me. I learn something about me all the time. People spreading information about me, harassing people, or however. And so I have like almost no tolerance for spreading information that is not true or verified. And if that did happen with John, as he showed, and I could bring the timestamp showing, hey, you guys did spread this, I just think it would be, you can still continue to, you don't need to be a whataboutism or John did this, John, just say, hey, we got that wrong. We'll do better. all right, let's focus on these other things that we think John
Can you
is
show me a
not.
text where you've ever asked
and-
him to do that? I'm curious. People say you're not a progmo,
But-
and he's not your bestie. Have you ever required that of Julie Hanks or John DeLynn? I'm curious.
I have had like 3 messages with John DeLynn, but if I was on Mormon Stories, I would ask the same thing of him.
So here's the thing. I don't think that the situation that happened requires an apology at all. I think it's reasonable for us moving forward to be like, hey, now we know John DeLynn did file the police report, right?
He violated the Karen Act.
Because
Don't even
we've
say
seen
filed the
evidence
police
of a
report.
police report.
We're sorry we told the public you violated the Karen Act.
All right, how about this?
But I don't think that it requires an apology of us to say because of what we did, where we did film that we called the police and they told us that there was no record.
Yeah, you don't apologize for transparent reporting.
I think John DeLynn is AI.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even think he's real. You think I'm gonna apologize?
But look, if you ever think that in some podcast somewhere I hyper simplified whatever colloquial reference I had to his what I believe is faked fear, okay, and you think I'm misrepresenting, sure, send me the timestamps and I'll clarify that. No. I shouldn't have said faked called. I should have said falsely representing the feeling that he had when calling. If you think there's some semantic argument that needs to get made that'll make you feel better and will correct the record, fine.
And we are willing
Send
to
it
do
to
that
me.
kind of thing for you, Bridger, because
Sure.
we like you, we think you're awesome, and we might disagree.
I don't want to
some-
offend your not anti-Mormon buddy, you know.
we might disagree pretty heavily on some of these definitions, but I think your heart's in the right place, right? I think your heart's in the right place on these things, and it's just going to take some time.
I hope Jesus is half as tenacious for me when we are getting judged as you are for John, my friend. That is good.
I have been critical of John numerous times. Again, I'm not like this John DeLynn apologist. I'm a fan of treating people like people. I don't care who they are.
You know what? I'll say this. The way, Cardin, you're a little annoyed with how Bridge is willing to defend the obvious evil that is John DeLynn. The same way I feel about you and George Washington.
Oh my god.
That human trafficking occultist.
That's
his silly
funny,
wig.
man. Oh,
His
that's
silly
funny,
wig.
man.
Attack
And
his
the high
dentures.
heels.
They're more fun.
And the high heels.
And the
yeah.
dentures, man.
So anyway, dude, we went totally over on this one. Hey, chat. In the last 2 minutes, do you have any questions for Bridger before we go? You know what I'm saying? Do you have any questions for us before we go? Oh, we got a new member. What's up? Member into chat. Oh, Jonah Barnes. Advice to young man with anti-parents preparing for missions. Oh, nothing is more important than family. You have to forgive yourself if you do something wrong and move on and learn from that mistake. Recognize it if you do. At the same time, you got to preserve your relationship with God as well. If I had advice for young men with anti-parents preparing for a mission, we actually have a couple of those. I hate to say it in our stake that where I'm friends with, and it's a little bit of a house divided. It is okay to just say, no, we're not that way. I don't think it's that way, Dad. Do you want to go play golf? You know what I'm saying? There's a beautiful soul that develops on the other side of maintaining your faith in adversity. And you will quickly learn the art of forgiveness that will greatly help you on your mission. When you get given an annoying companion that you aren't tied to as family or romantically, they're even harder to forgive. So the lessons of forgiveness for misrepresentations of you and your faith are going to be beautiful lessons to learn. I don't know, but Bridger, what would you say?
For someone with anti-parents, I'm nowhere near experienced enough to give informed comment on that. I just say, do the primary things, continue reading your scriptures, praying, and it depends. Are they like, are they going to pay for his mission? Are they going to help out? Are they going to support him? I don't know. Just continue praying, reading the scriptures, focusing, and love your parents regardless of their beliefs on the church. Love them, see them as God sees them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that's my key thing, I would say, is just more than ever, keep it in your heart and mind that they're children of God too. and that God loves them, he loves you, and he will support you in loving them as Christ loved them.
Yeah, but don't get lazy. Know your stuff, man. Field the arguments. Also, start having fun with it, dude. Like, man, start having fun with it. It's like freaking intellectual tennis, you know? Ba-pow. And they level one. You just go like, ba-poo. And it goes back. And then ba-pow, ba-poo. You know, it's like a little, like a tennis match. So
Bill
anyway.
Real went to Epstein Island.
No.
Oh, my God.
It's not true. It's not true. It's a joke.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, cool. So anyway, how can people meet you? How can people find you, Bridger? How can they follow your stuff? How can they...
It's just Bridge Thoughts on TikTok or Instagram. I'm gonna do a YouTube channel here eventually, responding to like a couple multi-hour long videos, responding to critics. But that's
Just not John DeLynn. Don't touch him.
No, it'll John DeLynn will be very much included in that for sure.
Poor guy. You know, once you go after him, it's just gonna be all over. So
John's been one of the nicest critics to me in all my experience. I will say that.
So are you familiar with, maybe it's a conversation for another day.
we'll just save it for another day.
Yeah.
We got to get Bridger back, and I love his hat. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
And his hoodie. He's got like this look. He's like kind of Tim Pool, but just with a hat instead of a hoodie. And then I want to see him talking to me when he's got like this, with a little microphone in his face, you know? So anyway, okay, cool. Well, we're going to jam, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Bryson, welcome, member of the channel. Thanks for signing up. We're glad to have you. This has been real, and it's been fun, and it's been real fun. We'll see you guys in the next video.